No Tez Johnson, no Trayshawn Holden. Evan Stewart comes back. Big game against Ohio State. Went through certain stretches of the season, uh, missing in action to a certain extent, and little productivity unless I'm missing somebody after Evan Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, the receiving core is interesting. I think that and the defensive backfield are the most interesting position groups to watch because there's so many different ways they can play out for Oregon. The receiving core is as stacked with talent as it ever has been, and it's just continuing what Junior Adams built the last couple of years with the Ducks. Like they have retained almost all the guys that they've recruited from the high school ranks. The transfers they've brought in have done a great job, like Tez Johnson, Gary Bryant Jr. was a transfer who was hurt last year, but he's still around for a sixth season of college football. They've got DeCorian Moore coming in as a number one wide receiver recruit in 2025. So I think that for Oregon's wide receiver room, I'm not concerned about the talent level. There is a production question, but I don't question whether you've got guys that are big enough, fast enough, strong enough, talented enough to be a high-end receiving core. I just don't know exactly how that depth chart shakes out, how many wide receivers work their way into the fold. The last 2 years, it's typically been 4 that have been, productive wide receivers. They get 400 or more yards in a season. So I'm curious to see how all that works. But I mean, 5-star Jurion Dickey still has not made an impact at Oregon. He got hurt his first year, buried on the depth chart last year. Does he take a step forward? Kyler Casper's going into his 4th year as an Oregon Duck, former blue chip recruit who's sticking around for some reason. He could certainly go elsewhere and get more reps, but he's still at Oregon for one reason or another. DeCorian Moore, it's hard to see how he doesn't play at least some as a true freshman. Wide receivers, this hype just don't come around. He's the second highest rated recruit Oregon has ever had, regardless of position, and the highest rated wide receiver. And then you've got Evan Stewart coming back, who was great last year. And then you bring in Malik Benson as well, who's been a journeyman in college football, but was the top JUCO or one of the top JUCO receivers a couple of cycles ago, went to Alabama, didn't play a lot, went to Florida State. He was a guy that I think had people thinking Florida State would be good, and he's one of several guys. And then, of course, it was a disaster. And so I don't really know what to expect from him because he's never had 400 receiving yards in a Division I season. But, I know that guys that come out of the JUCO ranks can be incredibly productive. So there are just so many questions swirling around the position room. And heck, maybe it comes down to who does Dante Moore or whoever ends up starting, if it's him or Novosad, who does Dante Moore have the best chemistry with? Who does he like the most? What stands out in spring? But I don't know how all that plays out. I think that the spring game is going to be able to tell us a lot.
Spencer, if there's any position in college football from last year that I can give a pass to, it would be anyone playing wide receiver at Florida State. So lack of production, okay, it's probably not on you because we know what the offensive line and the quarterbacking situation was there.
Yeah, it was about as bad as it could possibly be at the Power 4 level. I don't think it could have been any worse. Yeah. I really don't. I mean, they beat Cal and Charleston Southern.
And Cal missed 3 field goals.
3 field goals. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was the most Cal loss in the history of Cal losses.
Yeah, Cal had a string of those.
If they hadn't had Charleston Southern on the schedule, and everybody's got an FCS out there, so it's not unreasonable. But if FSU didn't have that late season ACC cupcake that a lot of ACC schools and SEC schools have as well, there's a possibility that Cal would have lost to the second 1-11 football team in 3 years because they lost to 1-11 Colorado before Dion got there in 2022.